Here we go. Episode 243 of the Current Gen podcast. It's one of those fireside chat episodes with Tim and Dan. We're just here to chill and to talk. Do you have any whiskey?
No, but we can do like a radio voice. Hello.
Oh,
Radio.
welcome to episode
Hello.
243 of
WKLZ.
the Current Gen podcast. If you ever watch Doozy, they go D-O-double-D. I forget how he says it. D-O-double-D-Z. Doozy
Throw another
podcast.
double D in there.
Yeah, something like, or double O. I forget what it was. Anyway, hey, it's been a weird week. Kyle's crazy work schedule. Jeff's still rocking it in the music scene. I've been weirdly like traveling out of town also multiple days this week, so my schedule's all thrown off. It was funny. It was actually this morning. I was like, oh yeah, podcast recordings tonight. So I haven't
Sure.
grabbed any of the news headlines I normally grab. I'll look to see if there's anything notable for us to talk about. But so it's just one of those weird weeks, and it's also the week that arguably the biggest game each year, like the biggest franchise, has released its entry this year, and that's Call of Duty. But most of us aren't really Call of Duty bros. But on
Right.
the other hand, most of us are willing to give it a shot if it's good.
Right.
The last one I think most of us played and loved was the 2019 Modern Warfare remake. I know
Yeah.
a good chunk of us at least tried it. Most of us finished it and really enjoyed that. But they've been hit and miss since then. And now Black Ops 6, it's just crazy that there's that many of each spinoff at this point. But yeah, that has released this week along with Sonic X Shadow Generations, which is getting really favorable reviews. People love it. I think that's awesome.
Good.
I think it's listed at very positive on Steam, or maybe even overwhelmingly positive. So people are loving that game. But I have only played a little bit of Call of Duty. Haven't played Sonic yet. I do plan on giving it a try though. So it's one of those. It's just a weird week, man.
Now,
So we're
Tim,
gonna we're
with
gonna lower the temperature a little bit. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Just a mild warm
Yeah,
temperature.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
lukewarm milk, just a
yeah.
lukewarm.
Yeah. Gross.
So curious with the logo for Blops 6,
Yeah,
because we call it Blop 6 because
we
that's just
do.
more fun.
We
Is
do.
there 6 notches in the logo this time?
I wish that that's what they had done.
Okay, so we didn't do that.
Sadly, no, they did not.
Okay, so
It's
it's a
just a.
Roman numeral 6.
It is just the
Oh, it's just the number.
alphanumeric, the number
Okay.
6. Is that the term for it? Alphanumeric? Is that right? Is it
Yeah,
alpha?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Because if anybody doesn't get what I'm talking about, it was 4, right? Where they didn't do Roman numeral 4, they did 1, 2, 3, 4 slashes.
Or it was
Yeah,
definitely 3, but I think 4 they did too, which was like that's not even the
yeah.
right Roman numeral. So what are you
Right,
guys
that's not
doing?
even a thing. Yeah, that's not even. So,
They didn't do anything creative like Resident Evil 7 did,
mm,
where it didn't even
Village.
necessarily was it 7 or 8? I
Well,
think
they did it for both. They did it for both.
I know 7 was the bigger surprise, at least for me. Maybe some people
Yeah,
knew
yeah, yeah.
the next Resident Evil was happening or that was it. But for a lot of people, that was a pretty big surprise because it was like a return to
Hmm.
form for the franchise in a lot of ways,
Yep.
at least as far as new entries go. And I remember the biohazard thing kind of highlighted the 7 on there, and people were like,
Yep.
"What?" So that
And
was
Village was
super
because it's
cool. L,
VILL, which
yeah.
is Roman numeral 8 because it's
And then
technically
they
Resident Evil
they
8. So,
just kind of highlighted parts of the L to make it,
yeah,
to work that way, and it worked great. It
clever.
looked really good logo. Good logo work, everyone. We'll look at some logos for a game we'll play here in a little bit as well. But hey, speaking of Call of Duty, I know Kyle's playing it a little bit, so he'll be on hopefully next week or the week after to talk about his thoughts on it. I actually downloaded and played it for a little bit today on my
Mm.
PC because I've got the Game Pass, so why not? I already pay for that subscription, at least for the moment
Basically
I
free,
do.
Tim.
So
Basically free.
it is free. People don't understand what free means. Free means free. That means I don't pay anything at all except for my monthly
Right.
subscription,
Sure.
obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But anyway, no, the Game Pass that I use, the Ultimate Game Pass Ultimate, I always buy like the 3 or 6 month, whatever it goes on sale on these various
Right.
websites that are,
Yep.
it's way cheaper and you just kind of stack it on to your subscription. So I haven't paid monthly in a long time. I usually
Yeah.
buy it in like these little bulk month packages. But anyway, so it is out. I did download it. It is tricky. We were talking about this in our little chat. When you download Call of Duty these days, either it's a massive file because whatever
Mm.
platform you're on or whatever version doesn't give you any options, and that's stupid. It could be like 150 gigs, 200 gigs. It's just insane. But for the most part, now they have wisely given you, at least in the new version, uh, options of like what thing do you want to download. So do you want to download Warzone, which is a pretty big file for their kind of always online Fortnite style free to play multiplayer?
Mhm.
Do you want the Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer, Modern Warfare 3 campaign? Do you want the
Sure.
Black Ops 6 campaign or Black Ops 6 multiplayer? So if you add all those pieces in, it's a ridiculous file. I think it's like 250, 300 gigs for all of them all together.
When I clicked on it, because I was the one that was confused because it was when I first clicked on it, I swear it was only showing me two things, and then later today it showed the whole full breakdown.
Oh,
Swear
okay.
it said like 400 or something for
It could be.
everything.
It could be. Hey, once you start adding in all the pieces, it is a lot. But so the
Yeah.
Black Ops 6 campaign itself, I think is still in the 40, 50 gig range, and the
Hmm. Hmm.
multiplayer is not that much smaller than that. But I just unchecked all the Modern Warfare 3 stuff and the Warzone stuff,
Yeah.
and it ended up being about a 80, 83 gig install, which
Yeah.
is pretty reasonable for a AAA game these days, I think.
Yeah.
It's not too far off the mark. And I don't know if I'll actually play multiplayer. I just wanted to have it in case I decided to give it a whirl. And I got to tell you, man, the campaign kicks off with a bang. I mean, it's gorgeous. I'm playing on PC, so I've got I'm playing on a 1440p monitor, so it's not quite 4K, but man, it really looks sharp. It runs super, super smooth. I will say, and I don't know if it's the Xbox app, if I need to update something or what my graphics drivers are up to date, but it's crashed on me twice after the second
Oh,
mission. So that's why I haven't actually gone back and played more. I would have played more,
yeah.
but it crashed on me, and I kind of just let it cool off and shut down, or let the app kind of reset, and then I relaunched it, and I was actually ready to continue because I was really having fun with the
Mhm.
campaign, and then it crashed again, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna uninstall, reinstall, and I'll play it later. So
But then PC gaming is perfect. It always works.
PC gaming is perfect. Yeah,
Just
it's probably
works.
some stupid incompatibility thing somewhere deep in the code somewhere, and it could
Mm.
be as simple as what I did, uninstall, because I tried repairing the files that didn't work. So
Okay.
maybe an uninstall, reinstall will do the trick. I'm not really sweating it that much because I can always go
Yeah.
play it on the Xbox if I, really feel that compelled to go play.
Mm.
But yeah, man, it is great. It's kind of set in the early '90s Desert Storm time frame,
Oh,
so there's
okay.
still a lot of U.S. and Russia tensions, but their tensions over decades there during that Cold War, even post Cold War, all their tensions were met on battlefields outside of their borders. So Russia
Hmm.
and US were always facing off elsewhere. And that's what the other Black Ops games, not all of them, but several of them are kind of based around that conflict and how there's always third and fourth parties involved that are trying to make money or that actually are the bad guys or whatever. So there's a lot of that. There's already some backstabbing and all that kind of stuff.
Of course.
They do a storytelling thing where there's an interrogation happening, and then the person doing the interrogating says, "Now take me back to the beginning," and of course that's your first mission. So like it's
Yeah.
that style of storytelling.
Quentin
Um,
Tarantinoing it.
a little a little Tarantino, and it's Lou Diamond
Tarantino.
Phillips as the interrogator. I was like, I've seen his
Oh,
face. Who is this guy? It's good old classic Lou Diamond Phillips, which is one of those guys that everyone recognizes. Most of us have seen him in something, but I've never heard anyone be like, "I'm a real Lou Diamond Phillips fan." Like I've never heard anyone like talk about him like he was a favorite actor, but he's been around. It feels like forever.
yeah.
I think.
He's like I can't think of like a movie where I'm like this is like a big movie that this guy's been in, but he's been in a
Hmm.
lot of movies. Like he's been around for quite a while. He's
He has, and he's got a
62. Google is saying he's 62 years old. So
really memorable name too. You know what I mean? He's just got that look.
yeah,
Really memorable name. So anyway, so I think the storytelling is really good. The visuals are, of course, super sharp. You'd expect it to be kind of a showpiece for whatever console or PC you have, and I think it fits the bill. Um, Really brilliant audio design, like all of it, all the things you want in a Call of Duty campaign, like the big set pieces, big explosions. Um, Basically, just you're taking your little squad from point A to point B, trying to accomplish missions or objectives along the way, and there's explosions everywhere. And then the second kind
of
of
course.
full mission, and it's a little short, but the idea there is you're helping another character who you're trying to recruit, and you need to assassinate someone. So you actually get to go up to this tower. You have to stealth your way up to this tower, or you can shoot your way up to the tower, and then snipe them on their yacht across this river from this church tower. So that's pretty
Pretty cool.
cool. I liked that little hitman style. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, man,
Uh,
it's
So this is
funny.
more. This is linear, right? It's not like
Oh
open-ish.
yeah,
Like
I'm sure
okay.
there are going to be open areas. Like I remember Modern Warfare had a lot of like, here's this village, and you can
Right,
kind of
right,
pick
right.
how you want to get there, but you still need to go accomplish this thing. I'm sure there's probably going to be areas like that. But it's funny because the graphics are really, really good, but it still has some of the classic video game things. For example, when I was stealthing up to that church thing, there's guards everywhere, and one of them clearly had a line of sight on me. He was looking right in my direction, but because I was crouched, I was harder to see, even though I was
Sure,
right there. Like I was
of
so
course.
close to him, but he just
Just like
kind of
real
was,
life, Tim. What are you talking about?
and he kind of turned and did his patrol the other way. I was like, all right, I'll take it. And then like when I was going to snipe the guy on the yacht, the people were all dancing around him, and it was such like think of like some of the dumbest looking video game dances you've seen when they try to show a club or a dance
Sure.
scene or anything. And it's like, oh, this is so embarrassing. Like it just looks so bad. Most of them looked
Bunch
like
of
they
white
were,
people who don't know how to dance.
yes, very much white people with no rhythm, but also looked like they had all been drinking and taking heavy drugs because they could barely move. They're
Sure.
like, like it did not look good. But anyway, there's some of those video gaming things there for sure. But voice acting is great. The action is really exciting. It actually has me pretty excited to go through this campaign.
Is there any
And
other big names
I'm
besides
sure there
Lou
are.
or
I just didn't
okay.
I didn't really look. He's the one I recognize. He has a beard and
Oh,
a
okay.
different look, but I kind of after a minute I was like, I think that's Lou Diamond Phillips.
Okay.
At least I actually should double check. I'm saying it very confidently. But I'm pretty sure that's him. Did you look it
Yeah,
up?
because I didn't know if like when the game was like loading up, it was like naming all the actors like boom, 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 like
That's
that.
got to be him. I mean, it's looks just like him. Yeah, Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Yeah, he's the main interrogator guy.
Okay.
Um, there's some other, of course, there's other actors in it, but
Yeah.
none that are jumping out to me as ones that a lot of people would reckon. Nolan North,
Oh, okay. I mean, he's a
Ben
big.
Prendergast is pretty well known. Yeah, a lot of the other ones though, like really good actors, they're doing a really good job, and the motion capture on it is just so good. It's very, the cinematography is really impressive, very cinematic. Everything from like when a car pulls up to come to a stop, the camera is down there by the wheel and the kind of the door, and so it just stops
Mm.
with it. Like just those moments that it's a little bit like watching a movie. So
The Black Ops series I'm less like familiar with overall. I think literally the only one I've played was the one where it was just multiplayer. That I forget
okay,
if that was 3 or maybe that was 4 actually. But one of them was
I
just
think three
multiplayer.
had the more futuristic story.
Okay. So then it must have been 4. I think 4 was just multiplayer.
Because I never finished three. Yeah, three was it was more futuristic. There you go. It's set in 2065. Yeah, you had all these like special armor things and weapon things, and
Hmm.
it just kind of lost me. Um, but one and two were more like Vietnam, Korean War, like that type of time
Yeah, because it took
frame.
place in the 70s or something, right?
Uh-huh. And there's a main
Yeah.
character that kind of is a through line through a lot of these Black Ops games, Frank Woods. I don't know if he's in
Okay.
all of them, but he's got a through line through a lot of them, especially those kind of older ones.
So is he a time
Um,
traveler? Because if one of them's in 2065,
I don't
like
know
what
if I
is?
don't think he's in that one. If he is, because
Oh,
I
okay,
didn't
okay,
play that whole campaign. I really didn't get
okay.
very far in it. So if he's in it, it's got to be just through flashbacks or recordings or something. Because in this
Got it.
one, he's older. He's got the
Okay.
salt and pepper, and some things have happened to him. So he's not who you're playing as, but
Okay.
he's certainly a key character in there.
Yeah.
So. But you play this character named Case. I don't know much about my character. The characters that you see in the interrogation are with you on the missions as they flash back. But as far as I know, you're not in the interrogation, or I don't know who you are in there if you're in there. So I'm intrigued. I actually truly am intrigued to see how this comes together. I never expect these to be more than like a B-level army movie, which I enjoy a good
Yeah.
B-level army movie. I really do. So that's what it's delivering so far. I find them to be enjoyable, and I will say, the shooting just feels so good. Like they just nail it. They really do have
They
the
do nail it.
the
Yeah.
guns down. Like it just feels
Yeah.
great. So I am gonna absolutely play more of this. I just got to get it to work on this stupid PC. It's actually not the PC's fault. It was with the Xbox app compatibility with the version of DirectX or something. So I just have to line
Hmm.
things up, I guess.
And I think out
Um,
of like, because I think it's usually just you, me, and Kyle will diddle Call of Duty in some way,
yeah.
shape, or form. But I think I'm the only one out of the three of us that actually will play multiplayer. I think it's
It's
usually me.
it's been a while since I've really gotten into it. When
Yeah.
I did like it for a long time. I used to play with Dan Phillips and Derek, and maybe I've played with you before too. But
Hmm.
I went on a after a while, I started to get tired of like the sponges who I felt like I've shot them a million times and somehow they still kill me. So I started to get more into the hardcore modes where it was like pretty
Hmm.
much one shot, one kill.
Okay.
You had to be
Yeah.
really careful. I really liked stuff like search and destroy, sometimes deathmatch and that. So it just kind of brought a realism to it that I did kind of like.
Yeah.
But I know that's not for everybody. The most popular is just your standard death matches and
Yeah. Because
domination and all that stuff.
2019 Modern Warfare, like, I mean, I'm guessing, but like at the very least, I probably multiplayer spent like over 50 hours, 50, 60 hours.
Dang.
Like, so
Yeah, it's
I
a
actually
lot.
like really enjoyed that multiplayer.
Yeah.
So,
The
um,
one I played the most had to be the original Modern Warfare, Call of Duty
okay.
4, Modern
Yeah.
Warfare, but back on the 360. I played it so much. Like I
Yeah.
even used the 360 specialized headphone jack. You had to have a little special connection. It was like a weird little
Oh,
plug
okay.
and
Yep. Yep. Yep.
the Microsoft branded headphone and I played it so much. I played the other ones too, Modern Warfare 2 and not as much 3, but I did play 3. And I was really into what are the map packs that are coming out. So I really was into it
Hmm.
for a while there. I might have even play. I think I played a good amount of World at War. Remember that one? That was like one of the last
Yep.
World War II ones they did.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Uh, I don't know if I played a lot of the Black Ops multiplayer. Maybe the first one,
Yeah. I think
but I
four.
really
So
fell
four is the
off.
only one that I've played.
Okay. You would like the campaigns for all the Black Ops games. Like part of me wants
Yeah.
them to just. I probably could do this on Game Pass. Are all the games on Game Pass? I bet you could just go
They
through and
might be in the
play.
future, Tim.
I bet you could go through and just play all the campaigns and probably have a pretty good time if that's what
Yeah.
you wanted, like just kind of some epic first person shooter campaigns. They definitely have those.
I wonder if
Uh,
they'll do that because I mean they own Call of Duty now, right? Basically,
yeah.
so like they could just put all of those Call of Duties on Game Pass or
I wonder
something.
what's on
You know
Game
what I mean?
Pass. Let me look now. Let's see. Got
It must
let's
be
see
just
what's on Game Pass.
newer Call of Duties. Because
All
again, when I
Game
tried to
Pass
install,
games.
yeah, like you said, it was like Modern Warfare 2 and 3 were like an option to install.
So at least for PC, it appears that the only things are Black Ops 6 and Modern Warfare 3, which
Okay.
is why those were the install options for me.
Oh, not Modern Warfare 2 also? I thought 2 was in there, but
If it is, I don't see it.
okay.
So anyway, yeah. So I like it a lot. I think it is high quality. The reviews, of course, are great, but you don't really know till you try it for yourself. I'm very intrigued by it. I'm absolutely going to play some more of it. It's been a while since I've really played a good first person shooter, so I'm excited to play more of the campaign. I have a feeling I'll try the multiplayer too, but as per usual with the multiplayer these days. I just feel like it looks so silly. It's like playing Mario Kart online, and people are just snake skidding the whole way, and it's just
Oh
like,
yeah, they're just diving, they're just like sliding around and
and,
jumping around
and
like
it's the same with Call of Duty. They're just sliding around everywhere. They just look so stupid. I just think it looks dumb. Like this does not look like a war zone. This looks like everyone's doing parkour, and it just looks silly.
it's the future of war, Tim, and parkour
I
is the
guess.
future.
I guess everyone's got horrible concrete burn, but it doesn't
Yeah,
affect them for some reason.
absolutely,
I
100%.
understand that people love like the way it feels and the run and the slide. I just don't like it. It's just personal preference. I don't like the sliding in the multiplayer. I think it starts to look really silly.
Mm.
So, but I don't know. Maybe I'll play this and think it doesn't look as silly. The last time I played multiplayer a few years back, I thought it looked silly, but
But
we'll
sliding
see.
feels good. The sliding and shooting somebody does feel pretty good.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. It's fine. But I can tell you the campaign is off to a great start so far. So.
Nice. Good.
So I am digging it. Also out this week, of course, is Sonic X Shadow Generations, which is getting really good reviews. It looks like a lot of fun. I do think it is a resurrection of an old game, but it also there's enough
Hmm.
changes and additions to it that people are saying it's almost like a new experience in a lot of
Yeah.
ways, from what I've heard.
Also, you got that Keanu. You got that Keanu bump in
Is
there,
he
right?
doing the voice in the game
I'm
too?
pretty sure,
I
right?
know he's in the movie coming out, but is he in the game
I could have
too?
sworn there was that last trailer, and we were all like, "Wait a minute, was that Keanu's voice?"
Oh
Like,
yeah, because didn't they confirm it?
I'm like pretty sure. So whatever reviews this is getting, Tim, you're getting that Keanu bump. All right, you're getting that Keanu bump.
The Keanu bump is very real.
Keanu bump. Yeah,
Let's
that breathtaking
see.
bump.
No, he's not. He's in the movie.
Ah, he's not in the game. I really thought he was.
I don't think so. I know he's
That's a
definitely in the
shame.
movie, but
Absolute shame.
Yeah, it's like someone Kirkman or something. Oh no,
Okay.
no, sorry,
Oh,
he is in the game. He at least so I went to Keanu's IMDb and he's credited as being in the game. So
okay. There you go.
there you
Keanu
go.
bump.
It
That
says
Keanu bump.
his movie skin. So I don't know if that means like you have to have a special skin or version of
Oh,
Shadow
okay.
or if it's all of Shadow.
But you
There is
got to
someone
unlock
else.
Keanu.
There's someone else. If you go to the game's IMDb and look at the cast, there's someone else credited as it's Kirk
Oh,
Thornton who's credited as Shadow the Hedgehog. So it must be a bonus thing, and I don't know. I don't know.
honestly, Tim, I could. You gotta be worthy to unlock Keanu Reeves. You know,
You
you
really
have to be
do.
worthy. You got to put in the
Yeah.
work.
Everyone needs
Put in
to
the
stop
work.
taking it so lightly. You know what I mean? Like this is
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
There's real stakes.
Yeah.
So this game does look like a lot of fun. I'm excited to give it a try. And I'm glad that it's reviewing really well because Sonic games can tend to kind of waver. They can be really
Oh yeah.
mediocre and easily forgotten, or they can like Frontiers was unique and stood out. And so yeah, it seems like this one's got a lot going for it, which is cool. A few other games that are out this week. Want to shout out Wayfinder, which I think I'm going to buy and give it a try this week. It looks like so much fun. It's also a game that was in early access for a long time, and now it's in 1.0. And if you look at the reviews, just kind of look at the history of it,
Mm,
the recent reviews are unbelievable, and the all-time reviews are mixed or like just okay. And it looks like this dev has really put the work in through early access, gotten player feedback, and fixed things up. And people are absolutely loving it now. Our buddy
okay.
Derek and a few others are saying Wayfinder is a lot of fun. It's like a
Oh.
isometric action looter shooter type of thing. Like you can do
Uh,
co-op, you can play solo. It's an action RPG, kind of a looter kind of a game. Maybe it's not
it, it
shooter, but yeah,
it does have a little bit of that. Yeah. What the hell's the word I'm trying to think of? Like hero, whatever shooter thing going
yeah,
for it.
the
There's a lot of
MOBA.
color. Yeah, that MOBA thing, unique hero type of MOBA,
Yep.
etc. thing going on for it. But
So for
if
its
it's
early
fun, it's fun.
access period over the last few years, it's gotten 53% positive. So very split.
Okay.
Recently, it's at 84% positive with 1.0
Oh,
release. So
okay.
that's no, yeah, that's crazy. And I was totally wrong. Shooter was the wrong word because it's very magic and it's
I
like
was
a
gonna say there's like
fantasy.
sword, yeah,
Yeah,
fantasy
yeah, yeah.
looking,
So
yeah.
it's definitely not shooter, but they are calling it action RPG, online co-op, a looter, third person. Um, but yeah, people are saying that there's tons to customize and create your
Okay.
own house and decorate and get pets
Oh,
and upgrade. And it looks like the graphical style looks pretty fun too. So yeah,
it's not
I
even
think,
something I was aware of.
yeah, I think Wayfinder looks pretty cool. I'm absolutely going to give it a try. Right now it is on sale for 22.50, $22, 50 cents. Normally
Hmm.
25, so it's barely
It's like
discounted, but
10%.
Yeah, so that one's pretty cool. So that Wayfinder is out. Go give that one a look. Also want to give a shout out to, speaking of early access, Windblown is out. This is from Motion Twin, the guys who made Dead Cells. And man, these guys know how to make a good video game. The
Oh
vibe
yeah.
of this game is awesome. It's got this cool cel shaded animated style with these kind of
Yep, yep.
animal creature looking characters, really cool weapons to select and choose from, lots of neat powers. It's got that Hades Dead Cells roguelike
Hmm.
approach, but they do it really, really well. I love both those games. Some roguelikes don't do it super well, and they don't really make me want to go back and do that run again. Dead Cells did, Hades, of course, and Hades 2 did. And Windblown also really does a great job of not really making you feel like you screwed up when you died because you go back, you kind of want to go back and upgrade and talk
Hmm.
to characters again and find out what's been happening. So it's almost a welcome thing after a tough run to get back to the main village and upgrade things and talk to people. And I think it's super charming. And man, I think this isometric action that they have, the special abilities, the way the dash feels, I think all of that feels great. So
Yeah,
I
that's
like it a
important.
lot. I like it a lot. We do have a Let's Play of that up on the channel, which I think a lot of people have watched. I think people are curious about this game. So, um, yeah, it's a really good one.
Hmm.
Also, Awaken Astral Blade. So this is a really interesting game. It reminds me of kind of like the Ender Lilies games a little bit, or Ender whatever. There's Ender Lilies
Yeah,
and there's Ender something else.
it's a new
Um,
one. Yeah.
there was another one that's even more like this, and I'm blanking out on the name of it, but it's a 2D platforming action RPG game where you play as this girl who's got just crazy weapons. You get all kinds of weapons you can get, and you upgrade as you go. This one's pretty cool. It feels good. The platforming is good. I'm absolutely gonna grab this game at some point. It is really fun, um, and I think the visual style is interesting. It's got um, not a paper cutout style, but some of the animation is a little bit that way. It's hard to
Yeah.
describe until you look at it.
That's what's tricky about these, because like one of those sites I mentioned before where I can like get a code for it because I'm a streamer, so I can like apply for the code and see if I get it. I saw this on there. I just wasn't sure
I like
like
it. I think it's a
if it
good
was any
game.
good. Okay.
I think it's good. Is it great? I don't know. I only played through like the
Yeah.
demo or so, but I do like it. I thought it was really fun.
The
So
look and mechanics and like how it feels is incredibly important with these type of games.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Awaken Astral Blade. It's got a cool vibe to it. It was the dialogue was written in English, but all I could have it in was in Japanese. I forget what it was. A language I didn't understand. I
Mm.
didn't even look to see what the language was.
Yeah,
So
they all sound the same. Is that what it is?
that's what I was saying. So
They
that's
all
the next topic is how everyone else sounds the same to me.
yeah. You got
Anyone
Chris
who's
Tucker over
not
there. Oh,
like
y'all look
me,
alike.
yeah. So yeah, Awaken Astral Blade. So there's three recommends: Wayfinder, Windblown, and Awaken Astral Blade. This one's not necessarily recommend, but it is interesting. After the absolute failure of the King Kong game last year, like the biggest joke, it was so fun to make fun of because Kong Skull Island or whatever it was called, or just Skull Island, whatever it was called, so
Sure.
stupid, like one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. This one's called Kong Survivor Instinct. From what I can tell, you mainly play as a human and you're doing
Oh,
Metroidvania style. You have a gun, you got enemies you fight, and the Kong and the monsters are fighting a lot in the background. I'm sure you team up with them in some ways. You might even control them. I don't know that for sure. But you
okay.
certainly have a human character in most of the trailers I've seen. This game is not getting amazing reviews from critics, although users seem to be more favorable to it. It still
Hmm.
looks like a swimming in sevens at best, but it's not the horrific
I was gonna say
version
that
of King Kong
sounds
from
like a
last year.
much more positive score than what the other one.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
So I'm actually curious what
I,
the user
I don't
score is on it
understand
now.
what's going on with the video games and the Kong world. Like, what is going on, Tim? Like,
I'm with
you
you.
know,
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
so
so it's
confused.
just under 70% positive from users,
Okay,
which is fine. It's not great. So it's listed as
sure.
mixed, but that's more positive than negative. I mean, the other one, what was that one? Skull. Was the Skull Island? No, was it Skull
I
Island?
don't even know. I erased it from my
There it
mind,
is.
to be honest.
Skull
So,
Island Rise of Kong. That one is at 33% positive. Who gave
jeez.
it a positive
I was
review?
gonna say, I was gonna say 33 sounds generous, but
It really does. So anyway,
uh,
so Kong Killer, or no, Survivor Instinct is out, and then there's this game that I had absolutely hoped to play the demo of, and I didn't get to it in time before the demo was either removed or for some reason it just won't launch for me, so I ended up just removing it. But it's called Flint Treasure of Oblivion. It's a pirate
hmm,
tactical RPG. Looks like a lot of fun. I just played another pirate tactics game, but it's a roguelike tactics game called Rogue Waters. That one's awesome. I really recommend that one. But this one looked really cool too. This one looks like it could be a lot of fun, a little darker take on the, pirate story with some of the fantasy magical elements of pirating in there too, probably.
okay.
But I didn't get to try it yet. It just looks like a more tactical RPG with it doesn't look like there's roguelike or Souls-like or whatever elements in there. It looks like a pretty standard turn-based tactics game from what I could
Yeah,
tell. But so yeah, Flint Treasure of Oblivion does look pretty cool also.
nice.
All right, I'm trying to look to see if there's anything else I missed. Usually, what I do is at the start of the week, I'll throw in a bunch of games that I think are upcoming new for this week that looks interesting for us to at least mention. And then towards the end of the week, which I was not around this week, I used to go back into the notes again, add more news stories for us to chat about, and any other games. Because a lot of times on Steam, there'll be a game that releases that wasn't advertised anywhere, and all of a sudden, like, well, what's this? This looks cool. So
Hmm.
I like to do. But I didn't get a chance to do that and I'm looking now, nothing's really jumping out. There's a new entry in the East games, East 10
Yeah,
Nordics.
yeah.
That is I know that's a beloved franchise
Yeah, it's been
for a
around for
lot
a
of
while.
people. Yeah,
I've never actually like played
this
any
is
of
an
them,
action
but
RPG entry. I thought these were more tactics RPGs, but maybe they are
no, yeah,
action.
they've always been. I swear they maybe like early on they were turn based and then became
Oh, I'm
more
thinking of
action. Or
Disgaea. That's more
yeah, yeah, yeah,
tactics, right? Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay. All right. So, Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the screenshots of it. It definitely looks like kind of a lower budget, kind of last gen, maybe 2 gens ago looking just this, in terms of like the details and the grass and the water and all that kind of stuff. But it's an
Hmm.
anime RPG. It says it's called Nordics, so it has to do with, I'm assuming, more of a Viking element and look and feel. You're
No
definitely
idea.
out in the open
It,
water and the
it
high
looks pretty
seas.
anime to me. The
Very
thing is with
anime.
this series, the last couple ones that have come out, like I think the character models look pretty all right. It's the environments that are kind of bland,
That's what
and
I'm
I think that's
saying.
kind of what
The
like takes
grass
me
looks
out
real
of it.
flat and the water
Yeah,
looks real
and
blah.
that's what kind of takes me out because I'm like, oh, the characters look pretty anime, and like I'm
Yeah.
on board with that, and they're not like muddled or like kind of blurry or anything. But then like I'm like, but this background kind of sucks. So
Yeah.
like,
But hey, there is a demo on Steam
yeah,
if anyone wants to give it a try. So yeah, that's all I could identify as new for this week, and I might have missed something. But do you know everything else? I know Call of Duty was a big one, of course, and Sonic. Those are two pretty notable ones.
I can't think of anything. I did download a demo. Speaking of like action anime type things, there was some other game that I swear started with like an A. I think it was like AI something.
Okay.
Um, that I downloaded the demo of. I just haven't tried it, but like I remember seeing a trailer for it a while back. I was like, oh, this actually looks pretty sick. I can't remember what the hell the whole thing's called, but
Yeah,
um,
there's actually been demos that I downloaded, tried, thought that was pretty cool, and then I removed it and I forgot, like, what was that? I forgot
right.
what that was.
What even was that thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even remember.
Um, all right. So as far as news and stuff goes, one thing that jumped out to me, and there might be other things too, but Ubisoft has disbanded, not fired, but disbanded their Prince of Persia team.
Oh
That
yes, okay.
and people read that, and these days with all the news we've had, not just this year, but really the past few years, but definitely 2024 has been a bad one for layoffs and teams getting shut down completely. So when you
Yep.
see that a team's been disbanded, you're like, oh, fired. Cool. Good job, Ubisoft.
Yeah, they got rid of them. Right.
But no, thankfully they have just been kind of reassigned to other teams, Beyond Good and Evil and Assassin's Creed and whatever else is being worked on.
Hold on.
Maybe
What was that
maybe
first one, Tim? What was that first one?
Avatar,
Be-
I think I said.
Beyond.
Uh,
Did you say Avatar?
yeah, Beyond Good and Evil 2 apparently is still being worked on.
Damn
So,
right it is, Tim. Damn right it is.
um, so anyway, but here's the thing, like this is such a good game. And I know
Mm,
that like I know it's my style of game. I love a good 2D action platformer, like of course. So it's my sure, it fits a genre that I already like. But it's so high quality. The story is really good. The characters are interesting. The combat is excellent. The platforming is super challenging, and some of the extra challenges are really, really hard, but in a good way. Like they did a really good job with it. All these powers you can get. It's just such a good game. And I know the sales weren't great, but
right.
man, it's the same thing as what we saw with Hi-Fi Rush. It's like at what point is the game good enough that you're willing to overlook the financial part and kind of like double down into it because it's so good, and if you make a sequel, it will sell well. Like, hasn't that ever happened before? Or do you think like, hey, once it sells poorly once, it's never going to sell well? Like a
Well,
sequel would never sell.
so I think the difference between those two, so Hi-Fi Rush and this is I
Yeah.
would say Hi-Fi sold probably I'm pretty sure it sold more. Um, but also unfortunately, Tim, because I am a little more connected to like say like the Twitters and all that. Although
Yeah.
like we were speaking earlier, this a migration going on, right? Everybody should go to Blue Sky. Blue Sky is way more chill than Twitter. Fuck Twitter. Uh, um,
You heard it
but
here first, folks.
you heard it here first. Uh, unfortunately, this game, this Prince of Persia, was hit with the old wave of morons with their DEI/woke agenda. So, and I saw a lot of that with this game. And I mean, it's really just literally because it's a black guy. Because what else in the game is going on that would even fall under that nonsense that because it's not actually woke or DEI. It's literally just a black dude. So it's even more insane because it's just like so black dude in a video game means something is being forced.
It's
I
so
don't even understand.
stupid. It's so
Like
stupid. Like
so
everything about it to me looked like it could absolutely fit in that world. The characters, all of it.
yeah.
The only thing that clearly was like a trend that they were following was that stupid Killmonger haircut that a lot of characters have
Sure.
had for the last few years.
Which which a lot of black people have like spoken out about, being like, listen, can we like get like a little
We
more
back
variety with the
off
hair?
on this
Yeah,
haircut a little
yeah.
bit, maybe.
It's just always this haircut. Can we get some variety, please?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and it's like, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Like,
But yeah, dude, whatever. That's such a good character. He's such a cool character. He's
yeah.
awesome. All the characters in there are great. So it's a shame. It really is. But it's cool to see when developers and or publishers are both kind of come to the defense of others who are creating games. So we saw this with one of the guys from the Baldur's Gate 3 team. So
Mm,
it was specifically, let me find his name here, Michael Dowse. So he is the director of publishing at
mm,
Larian.
okay.
So, I mean, he is not happy about this for the sake of the team that got disbanded.
Right.
So he is saying the last notable game, he's talking about Ubisoft, on their platform was arguably Far Cry 6 in 2021. And so what he's saying is, by the way, he's talking about the PC version only launching on Epic Game Store and the Ubisoft Store and skipping Steam until like this past month, I think Prince of Persia
Yeah.
finally hit Steam. So he's saying the last notable game on their platforms is arguably Far Cry 6 in 2021. The Crew, Mirage, and Avatar came in 2023 and didn't perform. So you can assume subscriptions were at a lull when Prince of Persia released by 2024, which means people wouldn't be launching their store all too much. If it had released on Steam, not only would it have been a market success, but there would
Mm,
have been a sequel because the team was so strong. And then he said that given the critical success of the game, which ended up with a Metacritic score of 85 to 87 range, depending on which
wow.
platform, he said it would have been better sales had Ubisoft released it on Steam at launch. He called it a broken strategy. And he said the hardest thing to do is to make an 85 plus game on Metacritic. It's much, much easier to release one. I was like, dang. That was,
Wow. Okay.
yeah. Now, there's probably some accuracy to that. You could argue that the marketing and or release
They barely
distribution
marketed it.
strategy,
Yeah.
right, that they could have done a better job with it for sure. But on the other hand, there are plenty of really high quality games that are made that just don't get the sales wind for whatever reason. It
Yeah.
just doesn't happen. And so, but on the other hand, you could look at this and say Ubisoft is a machine. Like they can market if they want to. They could
Oh, of
have put it
course.
front and center on so many of these different stores that they decided not to. But it was on Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, PC. It just wasn't on Steam. That was the main
Hmm.
one that was missing. So you could make an argument that maybe it would have done better there. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know that it would have been such a big seller there that it would have saved this team from getting disbanded. But anyway, apparently they pitched a sequel idea, and the rumors are that those ended up becoming the two DLC packs that were released instead of
Mm.
it being a full sequel.
Yeah,
So,
I didn't
which
even know there was going to be DLC for it.
I didn't even play the DLC yet. I have it, and apparently my son and I both are in the spot where we could go play it. We just have to go do it. I want to go try out
Okay.
the DLC. So
Yeah, it's a shame.
anyway, yeah, it is kind of a shame, but I do like the silver lining is it's cool to see when developers and publishers kind of go to bat for each other a little bit.
And I mean, they
So
technically did keep the. I don't know if they, you know, laid off some of them and kept some of them, or if it was they kept all of them. But um, at least they thought about that and were like, all right, well, some of this talent should stay by and you know be roped into other projects.
and I get this ad. I was just trying to look at the news, and this ad kicked on. So this guy starts talking about Hondas. Hang on.
Tim, you gotta head to your dealership today.
Yeah,
Get
I
your
really do.
2026. I really have to.
I really do. Apparently the new DLC for Alan Wake teases the next game from Remedy,
Mm.
which is cool.
Oh,
Which is no surprise. They
oh,
oftentimes show crossover between their games.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's exciting.
Um, so yeah, but I haven't played that DLC either.
That
Man,
new one looks scary. It
it
looks
really
scary.
does. Yeah, it really
Yeah,
does.
pretty scary.
Um, let's see here. So speaking of Ubisoft, they're doing what they call an exploration phase on the Rayman brand.
Oh,
Um, and so there's been rumors that there's a remake of the original in development, which is
oh, okay.
cool. I mean, I think it's a fun brand. I think it's a fun IP. Some of those side scrollers are so fun and really good multiplayer and just good, silly cartoon platforming, which I think is great. So we'll see what happens
Yeah, I didn't. I never
with
played
that.
the 3D ones. Like, I not familiar with those.
I only play those briefly, mostly the side-scrolling ones.
Yeah,
Like,
Origins and
yep,
was it Legends?
Legends. Yeah,
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 yeah. Those two are great.
so good, so
Yeah,
good.
really good.
Um, let's see if there's any. I know that there was a new MMO released by NCSoft. Kyle and I talked about it called Throne and Liberty. They've got some
Yeah,
layoffs that are happening
I caught already.
because of some kind of internal reorganization. No idea if it has to do with their success or lack thereof of this game. I don't know. But the timing for this stuff is always so, it makes you scratch your head a little bit. Like,
Well, especially since it just launched, right? Like
that just launched? Yeah. They are apparently, that's the team that's supposed to be working on a MMO with Sony for Horizon. Like, that's the team that's
oh,
supposedly doing a
sure.
Horizon style MMO.
Well,
Which I gotta like, does anyone want that? Am I being super negative? Does anyone want
I
that?
have they actually officially announced that, or is that just rumored?
It was
Do,
announced that they're working on it. I don't know if there's like the
okay.
game itself. I don't know.
I wonder if they're gonna pull a Last of Us and it's been scrapped. Like, I wonder if that was part of the agenda going on with all of that
Could be.
whole initiative. Doing Last of Us, doing a Horizon like online, and they were like, no, we're not. We're just.
Yeah. Yeah, you could be
And
right about that.
they haven't said anything. So,
Yep.
I don't know. I think that world actually would be really fun playing with friends, taking down dinosaurs. But I think
Yeah.
it could be an extension of just the game and not have to be a whole like MMO thing. Like I think if you could make a co-op mode where it's like three of you and you can just like be like a villager in like one of those villages and it I feel like that would be a little more cheaper to do than a whole full-fledged MMO. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, I agree with you.
that could be fun, but these still cost money, so they would still have to invest time and energy and money and etc. So
All I really want is Lego Horizon. I'm getting that this year.
sure,
So
yeah.
it's the
Which
game
again,
I didn't know I wanted it, but now I
it
do.
still boggles my mind that's coming out on like Switch.
I know.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
It just boggles my mind.
Although I could be wrong. The way it was most recently advertised and they announced the date, the Switch wasn't listed. So I do wonder if
Mm,
that it's going to actually, they have to be targeting this year because that's a key time for that demographic that this game is targeting. The Switch
yeah.
is a system that is super popular with families.
Hmm.
And so like you got to get it out before Christmas, but who
Yeah. Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Netflix, as we know, has been trying to do all kinds of different things with games here and there. I've generally, as a pretty avid Netflix user, I ignore, even when I'm on my phone app of Netflix, I ignore all the gaming stuff. I've just never
Sure.
cared about it.
Yeah.
I might have downloaded one thing from it once, but then never actually played it. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
I don't know. But
I literally forget that they have games.
I
So
know, me too. But apparently they had this AAA Team Blue studio and it just got shut down. So,
cool.
yeah.
Awesome. Adding to the pile there, Netflix.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's quite the developer graveyard this year.
yeah.
It's pretty sad. All right, let's talk about some positive news real quick to wrap up any kind of headlines. But Naughty Dog's next game is reportedly going to offer a lot of player freedom.
Okay.
If you had to guess, Dan, what do you like? Are you thinking we're going to see a familiar IP or something brand new from their next game?
I swear, unless it was just people discussing like possibilities, but there was that rumor of them doing a new sci-fi series, right? And then that was scrapped, I think.
I think that was
Unless I'm
scrapped.
thinking
Yeah.
Santa Monica. I confuse those two sometimes in what they, were working on or something. I know Santa Monica was working on something and that got scrapped, but I can't remember if
Yeah.
they were doing the sci-fi thing or if it was Naughty Dog. But I don't know. I think a uniquely created sci-fi world from Naughty Dog like
Hmm.
would be pretty crazy.
I think
Like
so
that could be
too.
really cool.
So Ben Hansen from MinMax said he received some, and apparently I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's got a real connection here. So I don't think he has any reason to make this up. But he's got some info about a secretive project, a Naughty Dog project from somebody very in the know who worked on the game, and they're saying the tone is something that no one's ready for, how amazing it's going to be, and blah 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 blah
Mm,
blah, and it's going to allow a lot of player freedom more
yeah.
than most of their games do. And its upcoming title was compared. Let's see. They were comparing it to something they said, or not comparing it to Hitman. I don't know what that means. Maybe there was something comparing it to Hitman before. But
Okay.
anyway, it's a super secretive project, and at the moment, no one has any kind of vibes is about like, is this a existing IP or new? I'm gonna
Yeah.
guess it's new, but who knows? Who knows?
I think new would be absolutely the smartest thing because the joke
Yeah.
the past few years have been like, oh, they're just gonna make another Last of Us, right? They're just gonna. So, because they've been doing they did Uncharted for quite a while, and then they did the couple of Last of Us games. So, I think I think it would be good to do something new. Just take a little bit of break from the Last of Us, and then maybe some years later, like when the hype kind of could build back up, go into 3 if you want to do a 3. So.
Yeah, I agree completely. All right. Last but not least, Vampire Survivors getting Castlevania DLC. That's
yeah,
awesome.
I saw. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. That's cool.
Yeah. I think that's it. Unless you know of something else with news.
I mean, I can't think of anything. I haven't really been. My head's just been down in the sand with what I'm trying to play and actually trying to finish games.
Yeah.
So many games, Tim.
I know. Games. All right, so let's talk a little bit about other stuff we're playing then. Since you got your head down in the sand playing some games, what else are you playing?
So yeah, I am still fully focused on Silent Hill. I think I'm a little past the halfway point. That game is like for like how miserable it makes you feel. It's like way longer than it like you feel like it should be, but it also like as it's going along, it actually is getting better because I hit a certain point where I'm forgetting. Are you playing Silent Hill 2 or
I'm not?
You're not. Oh, okay. Well, there's a certain
I don't need
area.
that kind of stress and anxiety in my life.
You know what? That's fair. That's fair because it's basically what it makes you feel.
Yeah.
But that's the point of it, I think. But there was this building that you get to like fairly early on that like it was a pretty lengthy section, and then something happens where like you're still there, but it's different. So I'll say that. And it just kept going. And I was like, oh my God, like, please get me out of this place. Like, I just want to leave. Not because I'm like disliking it because it's bad. It's just like, I just want to leave. But I feel like that's the point of like what this game's trying to do. It's really trying to like bear down on you and make you feel like you're just getting fucking crushed emotionally and, everything. But as it's gone along, there's been a little more variety with where you're going, and that's really cool. And like explore, like going through the town as you're going from section to section is really cool. Like it really is that you're going through Silent Hill and you're going into different buildings and different things are happening. You're meeting some different people. So
is fog still a pretty important part of this game?
Oh, of course, yes. Yeah, very foggy. Can't see a damn thing when you're out in the streets. Right now I'm in a different building, so I've been in another like building and things changed again. So like you're in Silent Hill and it's a lot of grays and a lot of fog, and then a thing happens and then you're like somewhere else it's the same, but it's not the same. So everything just looks worse, and like you're just like, please get me out of here. I want to go. But it's a really cool game. It's very cool. I definitely am seeing why people are very high on that game and why it's very beloved. It makes sense.
It's funny too because Bloober I know doesn't have like a perfect track record on the quality of games that have come out, and so I was trying to find this headline. It was such a funny headline. It was something about how Bloober says, "Hey, oh there we go, they have finished making crappy games."
Man, what praise, but also like a slap in the face, like hey, you made a really cool game, guys. You sucked before.
They've said it about themselves.
Oh, it was them.
Yeah.
All right, I love that actually.
I do hysterical. Too.
They're like, yeah, sorry guys, we kind of sucked before, but now we're great. So
their next game is called Chronos: The New Dawn, which is a new horror title that they're working on. But they're just saying like, hey, we think we found our niche, and now we just want to evolve with it.
Yeah.
And then he said, with Layers of Fear, some people in the studio were like, okay, we made some crappy games before, but we can change, we can evolve. I'm like, dang.
I mean, those are kind of like, some people like them, right? But they're not like, oh my God, these are like amazing games, So
yeah, for sure.
This definitely seems like it is like, I mean, obviously people who are purists of 2 have their opinions of like OG2 versus this, but I mean,
of course,
I think it's hard to argue the quality of this. Like, people were skeptical, clearly, because even they acknowledged that they made crappy games, that this was gonna be probably crappy, and it's not. So
yeah.
So good for them.
Agreed. And I'm glad you're liking Silent Hill 2. I know Kyle and Derek both play. I think they both finished it. Derek definitely finished it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's up there as far as spooky games go. I mean, it is that time of year, right? So as far as spooky games
Sure.
go, it's a good one if you like to be spooked. So
Yeah. Yeah, there's some pretty gross stuff in there. The monsters are gross.
there you go.
Um, yeah, that's let me describe one to you actually, Tim.
All
Let me
right,
describe.
let's hear
So
it.
think of like your body, right? You're just
Yeah.
standing there, you're just looking in a mirror. Now cut yourself in half,
Hmm.
and then take your legs and sew them on to somebody else's legs.
Sure. Well, I've done
And
that,
that
so
yeah. And that's
yeah,
that's like and cover it in blood, you know.
of course.
It's and yeah, so that's like one of the creatures. It's
Oh my
literally
gosh.
legs on top of legs, and its legs are like
Oh my
so.
word.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. It's just
Dude,
literally
my
a
wife and I
nightmare.
were watching, we used to watch that what was that show? Criminal Minds. Do you ever see that show?
I know of it, but I never watched it.
There was, it's one of those killer of the week kind of
Mhm.
it has like through lines. There's some storylines,
Yeah,
of course.
I think my mom likes that one a
But a
lot.
lot of it was like mysteries introduced and then they try to solve and figure out who it is. And
Hmm.
sometimes it takes more than one episode, but usually it's all contained in that one episode. I forget the name. There's a name for shows that are like that. But anyway, uh, there was one where this guy was doing that. Like the serial killer was like sewing on like legs and
My God.
arms and hands on the people. And I mean, this is a CBS show or NBC, whatever channel carried it. So like for a
Yeah,
network
that's pretty
show,
dark.
it's pretty wild to have that.
Yeah.
And that show had a lot of that kind of stuff. But dude, that one, that's the one that whenever we think back on that show, we're like, ew, remember that one? The guy just sewed people's, like, it just kind of
So
gives you chills, like, ah.
yeah,
So
that's pretty dark for
yeah,
like a uh, one of the main like
I
cable
think that's
channels.
CBS. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
that's the channel that carries Wheel of Fortune, I think. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah,
just,
right. Dude,
yeah.
Pat, you got Pat Sajak, and then you got
But
serial killer.
It's Ryan Seacrest now.
Oh, stop it. That's
Yeah,
he took over. I didn't know
yeah,
because I know Pat was retiring. I didn't know
yeah.
who. Oh wow. Okay. All right.
Seacrest. Mm-hmm.
So in like 40 years, Seacrest is going to be just all plasticky and
Yeah.
still going.
Yeah, like my father-in-law just came to visit. He's a big fan of The Price is Right, and so I was like,
Sure.
I think Paramount has them on demand. I'll just throw on the latest one with Paramount Plus. And I had forgotten that for I think a few years now, Drew Carey's been hosting, and
Right. Right.
he's really good at it. Like he's super friendly. He knows like
Yeah.
he's a good like game show host. But I'm
Hmm.
just used to him from Whose Line Is It Anyway or from the Drew
Sure.
Carey show and that kind of stuff. But
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
funny.
this is
People
your
taking over.
game show corner. Uh,
Current game
Tim and
show
Dan. Yeah.
podcast. Um, but the only other so aside from that, because I'm trying to get because that's like the shortest game that's
Yeah.
on my list right now. So, but still not like super short. It's like average 15, 16 hours.
Uh-huh.
And again, it's slow and plotting because it's horrifying. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm mainly focusing on that.
Okay.
I haven't diddled Metaphor since the last time. But Tim, I want to share. My wife and I finally started Cat Quest 2,
Yeah, you did.
and we're actually now on 3. So
Oh,
we
you
beat
finished
2.
too.
We
Okay.
finished 2. Um, dude, like I've said before, like these are actually really solid like couch co-op
Yeah.
games to like, with a significant other doesn't game a lot or your kid. Um, but
Yeah.
man, like especially so I'll get to the third one because the third one is actually really surprising how much like better it is. But like 2 was aesthetically more similar to 1. It was kind of like your simple but like really colorful art style. But still charming. But like in 3, like the visuals like took quite a bump up, which is why I think the game is actually shorter. I think the map is a bit shorter, so
Uh-huh.
they kind of like it's a little more dense with like what's going on in a smaller map. And also just the visuals are like even like they're like way better. If you put them side by side, you'd see like 3. Yeah, it's like 3 is like way different and better. Also 3, Tim, pirate themed.
Mm,
Pirate themed.
yeah.
There's a ship that you can sail around. You can do little mini ship battles, so which
I
is
saw the little
pretty
trailer
awesome.
for it, which looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but in 2 is like the cliche like dogs versus cats thing where it's literally about dogs, the dog kingdom at war with the cat kingdom. So that's kind of the angle that they're going with into. So like the first player is the cat, The second player is the dog, and it's kind of like really moral of the story. The whole thing is like, despite our differences, we come together and we beat the evil thing. But there's actually there actually is like, because it's been a long time since we played one, so I didn't really remember a lot of the story. But there is a through line through all of these, so this seems like it's I think it's going to end with 3. I don't know if then at the end of 3 maybe they tease something and it continues. But essentially, like what's going on is like there's like these gods that I think are basically humans, but they're like in another dimension. So there's something going on about humans in another dimension, and I think they're like gods, and they're like waiting for us to like collect these artifacts. So we collected the King Slayer in the second one, which is like a sword, and then in the first one there's like some kind of a helmet. I think I don't remember. And then there's the North Star is what we're collecting in the third one. But yeah, there actually is like a story there. Like and in 3 it's actually like written a bit better. And 2 it's a little more kiddish and cartoony. Not to say that 3 is like serious or anything, but it seems like in 3 they're taking it a little more seriously. But yeah, they're just really fun, straightforward like action RPG games in just a world that you can kind of explore and run around.
Not really wholesome.
Yeah,
like just kind of a good wholesome RPG adventure or whatever, adventure games. Yeah,
exactly. Really easy to pick up and play if you just know how to play games. They're very simple, and you might even think it's a little boring, but that's why I think it's just like a good like play for like an hour or two, with someone, significant other who doesn't really play a lot, or your kid. 2 is actually pretty long though. It's a massive game. There's a lot of game in 2. Which is why I'm also thinking in 3 they kind of maybe made it a little shorter, but just kind of have like more going on in there. But yeah, 3 is like, so you got the pirate theme, you got a boat, a ship that you're sailing around in. The ship battles aren't like hard, except for like there are some like boss fights that take a little longer. You are actually having to maneuver and think about where you're going. But that's still really cool. And you can upgrade the ship, you can attach stuff to it to make your cannons a bit stronger, add more health to your ship. But also your characters, there's like more going on there as far as like upgrades. There's actually more weapon variety now, aside from like just swords like before. You have like claw weapons, which are really cool, or actually cool. pirate hook. I just got a pirate hook, which is pretty sick. So I got 2 pirate hooks. I'm a cat and I'm like swiping at enemies with my pirate hooks. But there's also accessories now. They didn't have accessories before, but like now there's accessories which have little extra like added abilities.
Well,
like
Mario RPG like where it's not super in depth, but there's a little accessory you can equip, right?
Yeah, it's just a little. It adds just a little extra something. Like for example, when I dash, like I like do like an attack while I'm dashing because I have a certain accessory equipped, whereas normally I just dash and it doesn't do that. So yeah, there's bounties too. So there's like bosses that you find out, like mini bosses you find out in the world. So then if you kill them, you go back to the tavern and you get some extra money and a treasure. So you get like an item or armor or whatever. Yeah, they're actually like, it's actually like really solid. Like I'm actually really enjoying the third one. I think it's really charming. I think there's like a lot going on there that they're offering that is like legit pretty fun. So
that's awesome.
I actually highly recommend.
Yeah, these are games that are absolutely on my radar for my daughter specifically. Like you talked about, there are certain games that you'll play with your wife. There's certain games that I'm like, I feel like I should just get this for my daughter because this is, of course, it's animal related, so she likes animals, but also she does like a good, like surprisingly in-depth systems and some RPG stuff, and she likes that kind of stuff. So a good story.
Yeah, I mean, you could jump into 3. It's not like I said, there's clearly a through line here, and I think there's going to be a payoff of like whatever's going on with these human gods that they're like plotting behind the scenes, like something that has been carrying over. But in the third one, you actually find there's this name called Alis, which I think is like the main human or something. But you actually find him out on the map and like you see him. So like because he's all purpley and he looks like like a fantastical person or whatever. And you go up to him and then he brings you to this like other plane of existence, like the infinity, like the infinity like
realm
or whatever.
Kang
Yeah,
the
yeah,
cat.
he's just Kang. Yeah, he's just Kang, and he's like talking to you, and he's actually giving you. That's how I like refreshed my memory because he actually like the last one that we just found him. He was talking about those artifacts that we had collected the last two games. So like it's actually technically giving you little bits of like what happened in Cat Quest 1 and 2. He also gives you a little extra magic the meter. Well, they're like gems in the third one, but it's your magic meter. So
Nice.
um,
Yeah, that looks like a lot of fun, and it's a nice wholesome counterbalance for Silent Hill 2 for you. So
yeah, exactly.
next up is
But yeah,
Dog Quest. So
yeah, I
that's
don't know what's up with the dogs, Tim, in this one. They talk about dogs, but apparently they're like rare.
dogs are
So I don't know
mythical
if something
creatures
happened.
in the Cat Quest games.
Yeah. Well, there was a whole kingdom of them in two, and in this one, there's again we're like in another area, so I don't know if like I don't know
Oh.
dogs are just not rare. There's octopus people, or octopi rather.
It's funny when
Um,
they do that kind of thing where they're not only is it anthropomorphic, animals, but also like I was thinking of they're like tribes that sometimes fight against each other or whatever. Like
sure.
in the that Iron, what's it, Tales of Iron? I loved that
Yeah,
game.
yeah,
This
yeah.
the
The
second one's
rats.
supposed to come out, I think in like February or something. It's coming out early next year.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's like the rats, there's frogs, there's bugs, there's moles.
Yep.
So there's like these different tribes, and some of them are aligned together, some of them
Sure.
not so much. Um, anyway, just really
It's
interesting.
like real life.
Yeah, it's just,
Just,
exactly.
it's like these ones don't like these, and these
That's
guys
right.
like these guys.
That's why
So
Jerry Springer was able to make so much money in the 90s was because of all that hate for each other.
yes,
He was like,
good for him.
let me get one of each of these groups and just make them fight on my TV show."
Sure. Yeah, he's smart. You know, he made that good money.
He's a
That good
businessman.
money. Yeah, he's a businessman.
Yeah, so the games I've been playing are, I mean, lots of Echoes of Wisdom. I had my Switch with me while I was traveling this week, and
Mm,
I am now in the final section before what I assume will be some sort of finale. It could be a whole dungeon at the end. It could just be a boss
mm,
fight at the end. I don't know how they'll do it, but I am in what is essentially, I was trying to count up the dungeons. There's not a ton. They're also not super lengthy. I want to say there's like 7 or 8, maybe,
okay.
like full on dungeons where you got to find the map, find the silver keys to get the boss
Yeah.
key, your standard Zelda stuff. Um, some of the puzzles are a little more obtuse than others. Like sometimes I'll legitimately
Mm,
get stuck, but a
okay.
lot of it, it's like you can solve it with the tools at your disposal. And I am glad that I haven't just used stacks and stacks of those beds to do all the
Sure.
bridges and stuff. There's much more handy tools, whether it's the flying tiles and there's clouds you eventually can get. There's animals that you can get and then kind of attach yourself to in certain ways, and then they can carry you over.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's different ways you can, get where you need to go. And it is very satisfying. And there's certain ones that are just really good at fighting. So when enemies pop up, I go to my old faithful ones that I can summon, and then sometimes I'll either grab the enemy to hold them still. I can use
Oh,
my little friend to like temporarily freeze them in place, or I'll use
mhm.
my little friend to grab my summoned monster and move them closer to the enemy to like if they do a spin attack or whatever. So you can do some controlling yourself. And there is an option to kind of activate a power that has a meter that will drain over time, and that allows you to kind of use direct weaponry against the enemies. It's just
Okay.
not, I mean, that which is okay. It's a little more classic Zelda game approach.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of prefer playing it like a summoner, where I'm trying to stay out of the way, don't get hit, and I'm summoning
Right.
all this stuff. Like right now, I've got 6 of the little summon charges, so I could summon 6 birds or 6 boomerang throwers, and they just stand in this wall and they're just like launching things at the enemy.
Just
I like
hurling.
it's really fun. Or like the birds
Yeah.
will all fly up in the air and like dive bomb at them at the same time.
Well, it's like when you're playing an
It's fun.
MMO. If you're the magic user,
I'm like
you're
a
in the
necromancer or a
background. You know,
summoner.
just
Yeah. Yeah. It's
yeah.
like I'm bringing up
So
all my little skellies to go attack or something.
yeah, that's right.
So I'm having a blast. I'm getting towards the end. I am trying to finish it soon. So cause my son's really been itching to play it. And I've got like a
Mm.
cartridge copy of it. So I'll get that to him to play when I'm
So
finished.
the creativity has like because that I think that's also been my thing with that. It's like this seems like a neat idea. Just like how long could they carry it for is like what I was wondering.
Yeah, I think it has. You could argue that there are certain times when you're like, yeah, I guess I'll just do the same. There's a block that you get that's a water block, and you can
Mm,
connect them together. And if you do it in the right way, you can use that to bridge gaps or go up higher than you would normally go.
mm,
Um, So I've probably overused that because it's been a simple solution for a lot of things.
Sure.
There's probably a more creative, more fun way to do this, but it turns out I can just make a stack of 5 water blocks and get up to that point I couldn't reach before.
There you go.
So I can see how there's times when it's like, yeah, that's not the most creative, but there's plenty of other times where I'm like, man, that was cool that they did that they gave you that
Okay.
ability or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
it certainly is not the A team of Zelda devs over there. Like we
Hmm.
know that. We know it's from a smaller team that doesn't
Yeah.
usually handle full-on Zelda games. So my expectations weren't super high, and when I do
Mm.
feel like it's a little bit like unintuitive, and there's been a couple moments where I'm like, I don't know what they expect me to do here. Like
Mm.
this one's not as obvious or whatever. Or
Yeah.
maybe it feels a little repetitive. Yeah, there are times when I'm just like, yeah, this is more of an 8 out of 10 compared to the 9 or 10 out of 10 that every other Zelda game is, you know? But 8 out of 10 is still great. It's still a great, great game. It is not my
It is.
favorite game of the year, but it is a great game. It's up there. It's in my top 10 for sure. And it's really, really fun. So I like playing a
That's.
Zelda. I still find the visuals to be really awesome. Like there's
Mm.
volcano world and desert and lake and ocean and grasslands and there's all the I'm on a
It's a
snowy mountain
variety.
peak right now, so they got all these varieties of biomes to kind of experience on the map there. So yeah, I like it a lot. It's a really good game.
That's.
One of the demos that I wanted to highlight, I played a bunch of demos. Awaken was one of them. We talked about
Mm.
Windblown already. uh but I wanted to talk about Jotunnslayer Hordes of Hell. So if you like Brotato or Vampire Survivors or any of those kinds of games where you are a character in the middle of a screen with ever increasing waves of enemies coming at you, and you have to keep collecting experience as you kill them to level up and get stronger, 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 add more abilities. This does that. You pick a different class. You could be a big old warrior or some kind of summoner or whatever. There's a bunch of different classes. I just played
Mm.
the demo of it and I'm super impressed. I think the visuals are really cool, but it's the same kind of thing. Hordes of enemies, and it's called Hordes of Hell, right? Jotunnslayer, Hordes of Hell.
Very
Hordes of enemies
ominous.
are coming at you, and at least in the demo I played, you have these objectives you need to meet before 10 minutes runs out. And if you don't, then that run is over and they give you a score for how you did. Even if you don't die, you have to meet these objectives. So you have to collect these certain things, you have to activate these certain like mini bosses to beat, and you keep doing these things till finally you summon the boss, and you have to do that before 10 minutes is up, all while fighting off these waves of enemies that are coming at you, all while leveling up along the way. So it's a cool part of the formula, and it's like a Viking theme, which I like. It's like this Nordic gods, Norse mythology kind of a theme to it, which I think is cool. So the gods that then give you power are, of course, your Thors and Odins and Freyas and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So yeah, I think it's a really cool game. I highly recommend it if you like the Vampire Survivor like genre. Jotunnslayer Hordes of Hell is a really, really good one. I don't think they have a release date yet. It just says 2024, but I recommend trying the demo if it's still available, or at least wishlisting it if you like those
I think
kind of
it's
games.
important to mention is at least aesthetically, like it's not pixel, like it's not a
Nah.
pixel game like Vampire. Like this looks sharp. Like this looks really good.
Yeah, it actually looks like, I'm not saying it
Like
looks as good as
Diablo.
Diablo 4, but it's
Yeah, I was
that
gonna.
style of art, you
Yeah,
know?
it's
It's
pretty
good.
sharp. Yeah, yeah,
hmm
yeah.
Yeah, it looks really
That's pretty
good.
cool.
Yep. There's a lot of stuff on screen, spinning around, flying, zapping from the sky,
And
enemies
especially when you're
blowing
going with
up.
this style, having a lot, like a game like that looks like this versus a pixel game. Like there's more resource. It's like requiring more out of it.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
to have that many enemies coming at you is pretty impressive. To have it
Yeah,
still look this good.
it really is. Yeah, I agree. So that's all I've been playing really.
Hmm.
Trying to think if there's anything else. A lot of Echoes of Wisdom. Now I gotta check to see. Oh, I didn't even write this down, but this is a big deal because we talked about it a little bit last week. I finished Neva.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Did
not a
it?
very
Did it
long
make you,
game.
Tim? Did it make you cry?
Didn't make me cry. It made me sob. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Uh, no, it
It
is.
was wonderful.
It is. It doesn't necessarily have like a um I don't know, knock you
Like
off your feet
gut
story
punch.
that's gonna make, yeah. There is kind of an element of gut punch to it for sure when you
Okay.
realize kind of at the end how they're wrapping it up and what they do to tie things back together. I think it's a really beautifully done game. It reminds me of the second Ori game more. The first one I
Hmm.
thought was much more gut punchy and really hit hard.
Yeah.
Second
Yeah.
one did too in its own way, but just not quite as, it was still really good. And if
Hmm.
do you finish the second one?
Oh, I
Oh, okay.
Need to go back to that
So
one.
the
I
second
do.
one ties everything up from both games really well and kind of puts a bow on it. Not that they couldn't make more, they probably could, but
Mm,
it really kind of like, it really ties all together. So it's
mm,
cool. And so this has a little more of that where it ties together and then gives it a nice conclusion. It's absolutely beautiful. Like some of the environments, I thought it was just going to be a lot of um, wind blowing through the trees and grass and flowers while you fight a few shadow enemies. And it
yeah.
takes you to some crazy locations, these really foggy places, these misty swamps, and then down into this like dark nightmare realm where you can barely
Mm,
see except for this glowing red. It almost looks cyberpunky with how blocky the environment is and how red these red beams of light will almost like a
yeah.
dune or something. Like it's really stark, the
Gris
contrast and
had some
some
pretty
of the
different
colors.
areas too. So
It did, yeah. And
yeah.
so I mean, these guys, these people, sorry, this girls on the team, I'm
These
sure these folks, these good old folks that are making these games, they're such good artists. Like visually,
unbelievable. Yeah.
the story they're telling, and then the music from Berlinist is, I mean, it's unreal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
really fun boss fights and enemy fights. Some of it actually did get challenging. I played it on normal. There is more of a
Mm,
easy mode or story mode. But I was like, oh, all right, have to plan out some attacks here. I have
right.
to dodge a little bit. So like there's truly some combat to do. You do get a few abilities, not a lot. I think maybe 3 or 4 abilities that upgrade your movement as well as maybe add a little bit to the combat. But for the most part, you're not getting stronger. You're not picking a stat to increase. None of that's happening. There's no
Right.
collectibles other than these really hard to reach little flowers that you can activate. All that really is kind of like an added challenge. You can go back to chapters and see you have found 2 out of the 3 hidden flowers or whatever. That's it. It's not
Mm.
like, and if it does something for you, I don't imagine it's going to be in game. It might be an out of game like extra or something or perk that it
There
might unlock.
was there was
But
something in Gris that I didn't know until saw like a YouTube where there was actually a bonus like ending thing. So I wonder if maybe the
probably similar.
flowers something like that. Maybe they
Yeah,
give you a
could
little
be.
extra something.
Could be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I highly recommend it. It's only about a 3.5, 4 hour game. Um, Especially if you do like on the easy mode, you're not gonna have any trouble.
Yeah.
So so yeah, and some of the platforming, again, I'm not saying it's nearly as challenging as Celeste, but some of the moves I had to kind of like, I have to drop down, dash over, then jump. That's how I reached that thing. Like
Mm.
some of them reminded me a little bit of Celeste, where you had to
Okay.
I would fall and be like, wait, how am I supposed to get over there? And I had
Yeah.
to think about it for a second. And they're like, oh, okay, got it. And then you kind of figure it out. Um, so yeah, I
Nice.
like that kind of stuff. I mean, I love Celeste. So, little
Celeste
pieces of
is
something like
yeah.
Celeste, little pieces of something like Ori. But again, not really totally like anything else other than their previous
Yeah.
game. So very, very unique, really pretty. I loved this game. So
Yeah, I'm like I want to play it so bad, but then also like they just announced a collector's edition, like physical collector's
yeah,
edition, because right now it's only digital, and I'm like, do I wait till March to play this? Because I don't want to wait till March, but also like I want, you know what I mean? I don't want to buy the
yeah.
game twice, but I mean it's only $20, but still, I don't know,
Yeah,
conflicted.
you don't want to support them too much. You know what I'm saying? You don't
Yeah,
want to.
I don't want to give them too much of my money. Yeah, so I'm sure they're fine financially. Yeah, no,
Yeah, they're doing fine.
yeah,
They're doing fine.
yeah, they're fine.
All right, so Dan, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna make you before we finish up our episode this week, our little fireside chat. I'm gonna make you do a blind ranking of
Oh
something that you
jeez,
love.
oh
Uh,
Jesus.
so we're gonna do a blind ranking of Final Fantasy games. So I'm gonna share my screen so you can see what we're looking at, and then I'm gonna bring over, and I have a random choice generator
Hmm.
that's got all the selections, and I'm going to click randomize. So it's not me actually picking. I have all the logos,
Okay.
the picture files. I'm going to drag into this little screen you'll see.
Hmm.
But I have a randomizer that's going to tell me which one to pick next. I don't get to pick it. So that way it's truly not I'm not trying to trick you.
Right.
It could be a boring list, whatever.
Sure.
Um, so all
Well,
right, let me pull
when it
this
comes
up
to
here.
Final Fantasy, Tim, and per the internet, it's always easy and everyone gets along very well when it comes to
Oh
ranking Final
yeah,
Fantasy. So
absolutely.
no
Yeah,
one
yeah.
argues about which Final Fantasy is better than the other, you know, which one. Yeah, everybody's normal. Everyone's
Yeah,
very normal.
I can tell that you're being super sincere as you say those things.
Very serious, yeah,
All right, so
honest.
let me move this. Oh, I'm trying to get things positioned on my screen where I can still do
Yeah,
the
yeah.
number generator. Still, you can still see the screen. Hang on 1 second.
I just want to acknowledge that
Let
that's
me bring this
zoomed
one
in
back up.
69%, by the way.
That was just for you.
Just-
I did that
just-
for you.
Nice.
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 All right. Random generator has selected the first one. Dan, we're going to be blind ranking Final Fantasy games. I have stuck with the main line entries, and I have skipped, I think, one, but not really on purpose. I just couldn't find a good copy of the logo in our short time right before
Okay.
we recorded. I'm sure there is one, but I just don't have it in
Sure.
here. But I won't tell you which
That's
one
okay.
because that way you can't expect it ahead of time. So here we go. The first one you have to, and by the way, for those of you who haven't done blind rankings before, Dan has to place whatever logo I put in here in one spot and it's locked in. He can't move it. So he doesn't know of all of the main Final Fantasy games, which ones he's going to be ranking here. The ones that he's thinking should be 1, 2, or 3 might not even be available. So he's going to have to kind of play it because he might end up ranking one that he really doesn't like at number 1. So
basically, my
that's
heart's
the
already
challenge.
like suffering. I'm
Yes.
suffering on the
It
inside.
happened to Kyle with the MMO one too. So I hear you. All right. So here we go. Number 1. Figure out a spot for this fella. Final Fantasy
Ooh.
X.
Okay. All right. This, that's tough because depending on what's coming at me, it's like this could very easily be a 1. But I'm gonna say put it in 2. Put it in 2, Tim.
Number 2. All right.
Number 2.
Good pick. Good game. All right, let me get my random generator. Next one is rolling. Okay, I've got the selection. Here it comes.
I'm so scared. Terrified.
Final Fantasy. Oh, hang on. You can probably see it over here already. Let me delete these. These are
third. It's third. No, I saw
it. It is 13. I knew you'd see it. Dang it. There we go.
Put it at the bottom, Tim.
At the bottom. Okay.
At the bottom. Put number 5. Put it at the bottom.
All right. Final Fantasy 13 at number 5.
Where you belong.
All right, randomizer, give me another one. Okay. 12.
Ooh, 12. Okay.
Where's 12 going?
So this is not certainly not a dig at 12 because 12 is actually really solid. It can be divisive, but also people are really passionate about it.
Sure.
We'll put it at 4.
4. All right.
Just in case the potential potentially comes at us.
All right. Randomizer, give me 2 more. Okay.
On randomizer gods. Don't fail me.
Here we go. Final Fantasy 4.
Okay. Well, you know what? Just because I don't know if they're going to give me what I mean, I know you know what I'm looking for.
I do, but I don't know what the last one is. I truly don't.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. So at the sake of not getting what I'm hoping I get, we'll put 4 at number 1 because 4 is pretty excellent.
Okay. So, all right.
So 4 is pretty excellent.
4 is going to go at number 1 just in case like 15 pops up.
Right, exactly. Then I'm just going to die on the inside.
You don't want to put your name on that one. All right, here we go. No, last but not least. Okay, here comes the last one.
I'm so scared right now.
Dang it. 3. Final Fantasy 3 is the last one.
Okay.
Why is it? I don't know why it's adding it onto the.
It's like doing a little sliver of it. A sliver of it.
3 is at number 3.
3 at number 3. Hey, look at that.
That's not too bad. All right, so your blind rankings landed at 4, which is a lot of people's series favorite. It's totally legit, and you've been replaying a lot of the old ones, so that also kind of fits.
Yeah.
So 4 at number 1, 10, which I know is one of the most iconic ones for you specifically, and for me too, honestly.
Yeah.
At number 2, then we got 3 at number 3, 12, which is a great one at number 4, 13, not as great, but it's at number 5 where it belongs.
Right. Yeah, this is actually not too bad because I probably would have swapped 12 and 3. So 12 would be in 3, 3 would be in 4, and then 10 would be in 1, and 4 would be in 2.
Yeah, so it's not too far off.
Yeah, it's not too discombobulated. It's actually pretty solid. So that worked out pretty all right.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? You did okay. And I know it's hard to make you pick between your children. You know what I mean? Like I know that's not easy for you.
Yeah.
So
that's my parent heart is aching with trying to decide. Because I
bet it is.
Yeah.
I get it. Well, listen, I think that does it for us this week. Thanks for being here, Dan, and talking Call of Duty and Cat Quest, like we always try to do.
Our 2 favorite things.
Yeah. Little CQ, little COD. That's how we do it around
Hmm.
here.
Hmm.
But hey, listen, thank you all for watching and listening. And next week, we are into the month of November. It's time to start legitimately thinking about Game of the Year plans. Game Awards are coming up in just another month. It's crazy that we're at that time of year, but here we
It's
are. Here we are. And there
here.
will not be an Assassin's Creed game this year. So we thought
True.
there would
Yeah,
be.
it's
There
true.
will not. So,
True.
so yeah, lots to come. But thank you guys for checking us out. Thanks for subscribing, all that kind of stuff. We'll see you next time. Bye.